Welcome to the TCM Teach podcast, business podcast designed exclusively for acupuncturists and Chinese medicine herbalists who are ready to build thriving, sustainable businesses. I'm Matthew Sabey Smith, licensed acupuncturist, herbalist, professor, coach, and entrepreneur. And I've spent years helping practitioners like you not only master their clinical skills, but also learn how to share their medicine in ways that resonates with modern patients. Today we're diving into a challenge so many practitioners face, and that's how to talk about what you do without sounding woo-woo. And I've been building up to this over the last couple episodes here. So if you've ever had someone's eyes glaze over when you mention qi, meridians, or yin and yang, you're not alone. That can be very challenging. So the good news is there are ways to share acupuncture that feel professional, grounded, and relatable while still honoring the roots of medicine. So we'll get started right after this quick disclaimer. Please remember, I am simply a practitioner here to support you on your journey. The information shared in this podcast is intended for educational and learning purposes only, and it should not be taken as professional, legal, or financial advice. For guidance specific to your business, please consult with the appropriate licensed professional. Thank you. So, why would this matter in marketing? First impressions count. We know this. Your words shape how patients see you and the medicine we practice, being TCM. If you sound too abstract, people may dismiss acupuncture as unscientific or mystical. It's possible they may not be your ideal client, but if you actually think they are your ideal client, you don't want to lose them simply by how you communicate what you do. It is very easy, and I've run into this a lot with students teaching at acupuncture school, that it's very easy in their elevator pitches, for example, where they sound unscientific or mystical. When they start dropping that word qi, when they start talking about yin, yang, damp, cold, hot, I'm like, yes, I hear you, but if I'm a new patient, I actually don't necessarily care about that stuff as much as I care about how are you going to help me. You want it to be clear, relatable language that builds trust and ultimately is going to drive bookings as a result. So making your marketing easy and making it a way to say something specific easily without getting into the jargon, which I've talked about before. Marketing isn't just what you say, it is how you say it, and that really matters. So what are some common pitfalls that practitioners face? Overusing qi, meridians, zong fu without any context. And that context is a fine line. Anytime I hear those words in an elevator pitch from a student, I say, you're walking a very fine line. So unless you have something quick and easy to back that up, you might want to change how you're pitching that in your elevator pitch. You also don't want to sound too apologetic when describing acupuncture. If you're saying, sorry, it doesn't totally make sense, but it kind of does, well, guess what? Now you don't sound confident. Now it sounds like, whoa, wait, well, I don't want to get myself into an unsafe situation here. You said you're licensed, right? Professional, what's up with that? Oh, yeah. Sorry. I want to make sure you feel comfortable with the qi flowing through your body. I'm like, okay, that does not come off as professional at all. Don't do that. If you lean too mystical, energy, magic, and miracle cures, obviously you're not going to say cure because you can't, but energy, magic, even magic might be too far. If you're an energy worker, cool, go with it. A lot of you are not energy workers. Yes, we're all working with qi, we're all working with our lower dantian and qigong and all that, but on the surface, the patients don't usually care about that. You want to communicate with them clearly without diving into the mysticism of TCM, even though we know it has very specific frameworks and qi is a very real thing. There's not always direct correlations in English either. You don't want to get too clinical either. However, what I would say, there's a way to balance the two with clinical language. It depends who you're working with. So dry textbook style explanations with no heart is not very fun. So no one wants to hear that, but the balance is key. You want to keep it rooted in the tradition, but you want to make sure that what you're saying is communicated with clarity. And I give you some examples in previous episodes as well. So make sure that you are not falling into those pitfalls, which I have seen way too often. If you don't have an easy answer for your target clientele for qi, meridians, zong fu, damp heat, summer heat, whatever, like don't even go there. Just focus on and tell them, here's how I can make you feel better. That's what they care about. That's what they want to hear. The language shift is ultimately what is going to build trust. So you want to take out you go from woo, like woo-woo, to relatable metaphors. So instead of moving qi, you could say you're improving circulation and I'm even cautious with saying energy flow, but some people might be into that. Improving circulation and nutrient balance in the area where things are stagnant. See, even stagnation, it's hard. But if you are talking about moving qi, you're probably talking about in relation to, say, something like pain. Remember the example I gave in the previous episode with a traffic cop, using that type of metaphor. Well, the needles are like traffic cops. When there's a traffic jam, we have pain. Things are backed up. We use the acupuncture needles like traffic cops to get the traffic flowing properly again. And then over time, there's no more traffic jam, aka there's no more pain. So speaking in metaphors like that could be helpful. If you have to go more biomed, improving circulation, reducing inflammation, degranulation of mast cells, like you can get as fancy as you want, but just be careful with how you do it and why, et cetera, et cetera. Instead of balancing yin and yang, you could talk about restoring the body's natural rhythms, restoring imbalances. Even that's more straightforward. Instead of unblocking meridians, supporting the body's communication pathways. Cool. It's pretty straightforward. Just make it simple. You want to anchor to outcomes. Patients want to know how acupuncture helps them. Stress relief, better sleep, pain reduction, fertility support, digestion. What are you going to do for them? And what are they going to get working with you? Because they've clearly come to you about an issue, or you've approached them because you were talking to them about something. The key is just speak with your patients. Borrow the language they use to describe their symptoms. Oh yeah, I have this like awful, if they say, I have this awful stomach pain, and it's like, and then it like kind of goes along the side, like behind my rib cage, kind of. Okay, well, one, make sure it's not like appendicitis. That would be lower quadrant, obviously, but if it sounds like liver qi stagnation or something, and oh yeah, I have, if they say I have acid reflux, okay, now we're kind of getting an idea what's going on. Oh, so you mentioned, if you're clearly listening, so you mentioned you have some stomach pain, it's uncomfortable in the hypochondriac region. What did you call me, a hypochondriac? See how easy that can change? Sorry, behind your ribs, that's called the hypochondrial region. And you have some acid reflux. That makes sense. And you, how long have you had this? So it opens the door. Use their own words. Repeat what they say. Show that you're listening. And that's an easy clinic technique to just show that you're listening too. So when it comes to communication, we're focused on Shen right now. Shen governs communication and expression. So clear marketing equals clear Shen for your business. If your Shen is scattered, your message will be as well. Just as we translate TCM into modern diagnoses like headaches, insomnia, IBS, we must translate our marketing into words patients immediately understand. So they're going to understand headaches, insomnia, IBS. Those are the modern diagnoses. But in TCM, what are we looking at? Maybe liver yang rising, Shen disturbance, liver overacting on spleen, something like that. Headaches, insomnia, IBS. So we must translate that into our marketing so it makes sense. We just want to be relatable. Hey, did you know there's several different types of common cold? Well, let me tell you what that is like in my clinic and how that shows up. You can go into that. That could be great marketing for you. The key here is it's not about watering down TCM. You have to bridge the world. If you want to be taken seriously as a practitioner, which you should, and our profession is very professional, and let's keep it that way, everybody. Bridge the world, be the professional translator, please. So what are some practical storytelling approaches that you could take here? Share short patient stories that are always confidential, like I've mentioned before. And we're going to talk about the challenge, the treatment, and the result. So the challenge, what the patient is experiencing or what they were experiencing. Oh, yeah, I was. So again, I'll take the example I've brought through the last several episodes. Rock climber dealing with a tendon pull for 4 months, having a hard time setting in the gym, which was their job because they couldn't climb. Treatment, what you did, acupuncture, herbs, lifestyle. We actually did all that. Acupuncture, topical herbs, lifestyle. Result, what was the tangible transformation? They could work again after 3 treatments. They could climb again without hesitation after 3 treatments. So again, challenge, treatment, result. When you're telling someone about a patient you had, do not use their name. What was the challenge they came in with? What was your treatment? What did you do? What was the result of that treatment? Here's another example. A patient came in with migraines that were interrupting her work. After a series of acupuncture sessions, her headaches decreased significantly and she was able to focus on work again. Could be that simple. Storytelling just makes acupuncture real for potential patients. Let it be real. Don't make it mystical. Show real results. Show those examples. Share those examples. So here's some simple steps that you can help in shifting your marketing based on what you've already been working on. What are 3 to 5 common conditions that you treat? Preferably within your niche. Preferably. Translate your explanation into plain English. If you got qigong food, meridians, yin yang, all right, just make it relatable in English, please. Create 2 to 3 metaphors that resonate. Circulation, rebooting, tuning an instrument, traffic jam. Those are some examples for you. Record yourself explaining acupuncture in 30 seconds. Refine it until it sounds natural. I did tell you to do this in last episode, so if you really didn't do it last episode, make sure you do it this time. And then practice with friends or family who aren't in healthcare. Does that make sense? So I actually do this with family all the time. Oh yeah, I'll get family member calling up, hey, I'm dealing with this, what's going on? So I'll try. That's when I practice. I have nothing to lose. My family doesn't really come to my clinic anyway because I live far away. And so, oh yeah, I'm dealing with this. So it's my opportunity to be like, does this make sense? Explain everything. Does this make sense? Essentially what I am trying to help you understand is this. This is what the MD is going to tell them to do. Here's what I do. Here's how I see it. Here's how I bridge the gap. Does that make sense? So I actually love doing that. It's become a new hobby for me because it's testing how I explain something biomedical in TCM. And they actually love it every time. I'm like the family member who kind of makes biomed make sense for them in a way because I explain it with a TCM lens. So that's a really fun place to be, even if you don't necessarily want to work on your family. Sure, I'll prescribe herbs or whatever, but that could be really helpful because one of my goals in life was to be able to help families when they ask my advice. If I can simply help them understand their diagnoses better, good. That helps me sleep at night. That's one of the reasons I went to school. So what is the effect of clear communication? We have clear messaging that will attract more patients. When patients feel safe and confident, they're going to better understand you. And when they understand you, they're going to feel safe and confident. It's a nice circle going round and round. So you honor TCM by making it accessible to the modern world and marketing without the woo-woo in there. Acupuncture shouldn't be that much of a mystery if you have practiced your marketing and explaining it. You went to school for a long time. Start practice on your translation. So more credibility, more patience, and more impact is going to be the result of making clear marketing. So I do want to leave you with this. Marketing acupuncture doesn't mean oversimplifying or losing authenticity. It means translating an ancient medicine into language that today's patients can connect with. Just as we adapt treatment strategies to meet patients where they are, we can adapt our communication without losing the heart of the traditional Chinese medicine. So I created a resource called Relatable Marketing Phrases and Metaphors for Practitioners. And that's going to walk you through how to craft your origin story, your elevator pitch, as you've been working on it, and patient-centered explanations that feel both authentic and professional. So you're going to find that in the membership. So in our next episode, we'll be diving into attracting patients who value and pay for your care. Until then, thank you for tuning into the TCM Teach podcast, and we will see you next time. Cheers.